Yeah, please.
The Supreme Court is back in its term today, Mr. President.
Say it.
The Supreme Court is back in session.
Yeah.
They rejected today an appeal by Ghislaine Maxwell to overturn her conviction. That means her only chance at getting out of prison is a pardon from you. Is that something you're open to?
Who are we talking about?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
You know, I haven't heard the name in so long. I can say this, that I'd have to take a look at it. I would have to take a look. Did they reject that?
She wanted to appeal her conviction.
And what happened?
They said that they were not going to hear her appeal.
I see. Well, I'll take a look at it. I
You're
will speak to the DOJ. I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it. So, but I'll speak. I will speak to the DOJ.
Why would she be a candidate for clemency, sir?
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to speak to the DOJ. I'll look at it. I have a lot of people have asked me for pardons. I call him Puff Daddy has asked me for a pardon.
But she was convicted of child sex trafficking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to take a look at it. I'd have to ask DOJ. I didn't know they rejected it. I didn't know she was even asking for it, frankly. Steve?
Have you made a decision on whether to supply Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine or sell them to NATO and let them sell them to Ukraine?
Yeah, I've sort of made a decision, pretty
Could you
much.
share it with us?
If you consider, yeah, I think I want to find out what they're doing with them.
Yes.
You know, where are they sending them? I guess I'd have to ask that question. That war should never have started, would have never started. Such bad judgment was used there. I think on both sides, by the way. But nobody looks good with the war with Russia and Ukraine. Nobody. It's been a horrible. This week they lost over 7,000 soldiers between the two of them. This is every week they're losing 7,000, 8,000, 5,000.
They have a range of like 1,500 miles or something, so they'd be able to.
No, I know. No, I would ask some questions. I want to see what's. I'm not looking to see escalation.
Yes. And tomorrow you're meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister. What's on the agenda for that?
Well, I guess he's going to ask about tariffs because a lot of companies from Canada are moving into the United States. You know, everybody's moving back into the U.S. and he's probably going to be asking about tariffs. They're losing a lot of companies in Canada. They're coming into they left here. They left here 20 years ago when presidents that sat right at this desk weren't doing their job properly. They were probably good politicians, but they weren't good at business, and they allowed these companies to leave. And all they had to do is do what I'm doing right now. And, you know, I'm not saying it's the easiest thing to do, but it is. It's effective. We're a rich country again. We're a powerful country because, you know, I've ended 7 wars. At least half of them was because of my ability at trade and because of tariffs. If I didn't have tariffs to throw around a little bit, you would have at least 4 wars raging right now with thousands of people a day being killed that aren't happening. We've settled. You know, we settled 7. We're getting close to settling 8. That would be a big one. And that's something that could happen. But so I think he's coming probably to talk about tariffs because a lot of companies are leaving Canada to come into the U.S. And they're leaving Mexico. And by the way, they're leaving China. They're leaving all over the world to come into the U.S.
And would you
Nobody's actually seen anything like it.
Would you shift your position on tariffs in response to whatever you
Well,
said
I mean,
tomorrow?
look, my positions turned out to, everybody said I'm right. They find billions of dollars that they didn't even know they had. Recently, they said they found billions of dollars and they couldn't understand. I said, check the tariff shelf. And they come in the next hour and they said, sir, you're right. It was from the tariffs. We're a rich, really rich country again. But more importantly, maybe influence. If I didn't have the power of tariffs, you would have at least 4 of the 7 wars raging. I use tariffs to stop wars. If you look at India and Pakistan, they were ready to go at it. 7 planes were shot down. They were ready to go at it. And they're nuclear powers. And I don't want to say exactly what I said, but what I said was very effective. They stopped. And that was based on tariffs. It was based on trade. Tariffs are very important for the United States. We are a peacekeeper because of tariffs. Not only do we make, you know, hundreds of billions of dollars, but we're a peacekeeper because of tariffs.
Mr. President.
The time of the shutdown, Mr. President, the shutdown that occurred during your first term lasted 35 days.
Yeah.
How long do you expect this shutdown to go?
Well, you don't know. Look, I can say this, that it would have not happened except for the Democrats. The Democrats are very foolish. They've lost their way. And we have a new thing now. When you look at it's called crime. It's called absolute, as Biden would say. Well, I won't say what he would have said. Remember what he said? It's a 3-letter word. No. Remember that one? Everybody say, what was that all about? He probably meant exclamation point or something after the word. But this is a 5-letter word, crime. C-R-I-M-E. And we want to put it out and are putting it out, and they don't. They don't seem to care about it, but they do care. I believe that Pritzker and this mayor of Chicago that like to say about they don't have it under control. Not only is it not under control, it's the opposite. And I believe they're afraid, they're scared for their lives. I believe that the Portland people are scared. You look at what's happened with Portland over the years, it's a burning hellhole. And then you have a judge that lost her way, that tries to pretend that like there's no problem. Actually, she's not even saying that. There's a huge problem in Portland. I'll tell you what the problem is. Crime. Okay, crime. There's a huge problem in Chicago. It's called crime. And we want to put out the crime, and they want to inflame the crime. And why they want to, I don't know. But it could be that Pritzker is scared for his life. Yeah.
You appointed that judge on the UN. Do you have an update on the investigation into what happened to you at the UN last month? And also, what's your message to Americans who are concerned about your and your family's safety as you're very out in the public attending?
Yeah, I am out there. There's no question about it. Well, at the UN, we had a problem with the teleprompter. We had another problem that nobody has actually talked about. The people in the room didn't hear my speech. Did you know that? The people in the room, they didn't have any loudspeakers, and they didn't hear my speech. And I thought I made a really good speech. I mean, considering I didn't have the use of teleprompter, which is unusual. But I made a speech. I could have walked off the stage. I guess most people, Doug, I think most people would have just said, we'll see you in about a half an hour, right? But, you know, they obviously turned off I think they turned off the teleprompter. But there was a reason that it didn't work. I actually know the reason. They didn't let the teleprompter person into the room. Okay, which is essentially the same thing. So I made a speech. It turned out to be a very good speech, got good reviews. I went out to the audience after the speech. I saw my wife. I said, how good was that speech? Was that unbelievable or what? She said, I didn't hear a word you said. I said, what do you mean? She was sitting in the front. I said, what do you mean? She said, you couldn't hear anything that you said. The speakers were turned off. So I think that's pretty bad stuff, right? You know, especially since we support most of the United Nations. And yet I still want to keep it in New York because I think the United Nations has tremendous potential. If properly run, the United States has tremendous potential. But think of this. I settled 7 wars. I never spoke to the United Nations about it, not one of them. You look at, and those were wars that were raging a long time, and in many cases. And I settled 7. I never heard from the United. They didn't help me. They should be able to settle the wars. I shouldn't have to be settling the wars. Yeah, please.
I think last week you signed the security guarantees for Qatar.
Yeah.
Do you see any role for the Senate in that? Do they have to vote on that, or do you think?
Well, I wouldn't mind if they did. If they want to, they'd let me know. Nobody said that. But you know, Qatar has been very, very helpful to us in this process, and I think you'll find that. I think. Maybe the most influential, very influential, very strong. With Hamas, they're very strong. And Turkey's likewise been helpful. I mean, honestly, UAE, Saudi Arabia, everybody's been helpful. I just spoke today with the King of Jordan, and he's been terrific too. I can't think of any country that's been negative about this. This is why it should happen. I mean, everybody wants it to happen. And usually when everybody, including, I think, Hamas, and when they want it to happen, it's going to happen.
James Comey is being arraigned on Wednesday, obviously after his indictment. Are you worried that your own statements calling for his prosecution could help him actually in his defense of this case? No,
I think he's a crooked guy. He's a dirty cop. Comey, I think he's a dirty cop. He's recognized by many people to be a dirty cop and a dishonest guy. So all I have to do is, I mean, I have nothing to do with the case. I just say,
but you
good
called
luck.
him body to prosecute him and oppose
No, I don't call anybody. You know what? I'm allowed to do that if I wanted to do that. But Comey's a crooked guy. He has been for years. And he got caught. Look, he lied. This is just a simple case. He totally lied. And then he confirmed the lie on, I guess, numerous occasions, or at least one occasion. He confirmed the lie. He said, that's what I said, and I stand by it. And, you know, I mean, the guy, and he didn't say, to the best of my knowledge. He didn't say, well, I don't remember. He made a very definitive statement and a very important statement concerning him. And he got caught in an outright lie. And that's why a group of people, it wasn't me that voted, they voted to indict him. But he's a crooked guy, in my opinion, and we'll find out. The court's going to determine that in a little while, I guess, yeah.